Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Now recently I did a video looking at all of the opening tracks on Elton John's 30 solo studio albums. I ranked the tracks from 30 to 1 and I invited you to send in your comments as to which ones you thought should be ranked the highest. So I'm going to look at some of your comments that have come in. Many thanks for them. Now, just as a quick reminder, my top 5 were number 5, Shine On Through from Single Man, number 4, Tiny Dancer from Madman Across the Water, number 3, The Bitch Is Back from Caribou, number 2, Your Song from the Elton John album, and number 1, Funeral for a Friend combined with Love Lies Bleeding from Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Maybe not too many surprises in there, although you have taken issue with some of my choices, and that's fair enough because this is your chance to come back. Now, just going through some of the comments, SoundLab has come on saying that why don't I do a ranking of Elton John's closing tracks? Well, you're ahead of me there because I'm going to do exactly that fairly shortly. So get your thinking caps on for that one because there's some tremendous tracks which close Elton's albums. Now Jack's Covers agrees with my number 1 choice, Funeral for a Friend and Love Lies Bleeding. I'm viewing that as one track, by the way, because they are joined together. I've got a similar dilemma actually with the closing tracks, and there's a particular one I've got in mind, which again is 2 tracks joined together. So I'm going to view those as one track. Now, Maddox has written in with their top 5 choice. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, that's at number 5. A very popular choice, of course. I enjoy the folkiness of that and how it blends into kind of an electronic sort of conclusion to it. The Bitch Is Back at number 4. Funeral for a Friend number 3. Honky Cat at number 2. Now, I acknowledge that's a good track from Elton. Never been particularly one of my favourites. I don't get that much out of it. I don't get much sort of power or emotion or excitement out of it, but it is a quirky track. And number 1, The Ballad of a Well-Known Gun from the wonderful Tumbleweed album. I do enjoy that track and I gave that quite a good rating. But I think there's actually better tracks than that on that album. It's sort of even better if you like because it's so strong. Anyway, thanks for those comments. Now, Rob has sent in, now to start with, a correction. I reviewed Postcards from Richard Nixon and said this was about New York. Now, Rob quite rightly says that this is about Elton and Bernie's first trip to Los Angeles. And of course, that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Because they referred to a moment when they saw Steve McQueen. That's much more likely to be in the kind of the movie capital of the world, isn't it? Los Angeles. So apologies for that error and many thanks for those comments on there. Now, Rob's saying he can't really choose his favourite album openers except for Funeral for a Friend. I think we all acknowledge that is a sublime piece of music. So let's have a look at Dirk's ratings anyway. Dirk has just done the bottom 5 and the top 5. Let's look at the bottom ones first. And Dirk's got as number 30, Your Starter 4. Now, I quite like this. This is one of the instrumentals from Blue Moves, isn't it? It's only very short, just over a minute. But they're all quality instrumentals on that album, double album, of course. Probably among Elton's most creative use of instrumentals and creative use of the orchestra and the band. So I quite like the quirkiness of Your Starter 4, although it doesn't give us much in terms of time. Could have been extended to 4 or 5 minutes, maybe. At 29, he's got Johnny Be Good from Victim of Love. Now, nobody's got this very high, that one, so it's in most people's bottom 5. Shine On Through, though, 28. Now, I've got to disagree with you there. I really enjoy this ballad from Elton. Well, each their own, of course, but I've got that in my top 5. Town of Plenty, 27. Yeah, that's not the greatest opener. And Leather Jackets at 26. Now, Leather Jackets is one. Every time I go back to that, I actually start liking that track more. So I don't think it's that bad a track, actually. It's not a great album, some good things on it. But I think the more I listen to that, that would gradually go up my rankings a little bit, I think. Now, top 5 for Dirk. We've got The Emperor's New Clothes at 5. Postcards from Richard Nixon at 4. That's a good, strong opener. Funeral for a Friend at 3. Ballad of a Well-Known Gun 2. And Captain Fantastic number 1. That's a popular choice, Captain Fantastic. So thanks for that, Dirk. Now, we've got a whole top 30 coming from Jonathan. Johnny Be Good right down there at the bottom. And Your Starter 4. Surprisingly, Daniel at 28. Maybe that's a bit over-familiar, that one. And Tiny Dancer at 27. So quite a controversial league table, this one from Jonathan. Let's look at his top 5. Believe, which is a very popular choice among a lot of you. Not a personal favourite of mine. I acknowledge it's a good song. And it's a good opener for that album. Just not particularly one of my favourites. This Town at number 4. Yeah, that's a good opener, isn't it? I enjoy that one. Long Way from Happiness at 3. That is from Big Picture, of course, isn't it? Yeah, pretty good opener. Not particularly one of my favourites. Now, Restless number 2. Now, Restless is a good rock song. My only comment about that was it's a little bit slow. I think it would benefit from a slightly pacier performance. And Elton has done that much faster in live concerts. And number 1 from the Fox, Breaking Down the Barriers. I like this one. I wouldn't particularly put it right at the top, but I can see why it's got fans, and it's quite an atmospheric song and a good start to a very interesting album, The Fox, isn't it? Lots of treasures on there, I think. So many thanks for that. Now, 007 Never Lets Me Down. We've got a full top 30. Bottom of the pile is the medley from Rock of the Westies. That's a curious mix of 3 tracks, isn't it? None of them particularly good. Perhaps I gave that a little bit too big a push in mine. Got it at number 25. Maybe that could have gone slightly further down. I think I probably prefer Leather Jackets to those. Anyway, he's got Leather Jackets at 29. Johnny Be Good, 28. Oceans Away at 27. That's a bit of a surprise. A lot of people like that track. It's quite a maudlin, reflective track, isn't it, about the dangers of war there. And Your Starter For at 26. Well, not everybody likes that one. So now look at the top 5 now. Funeral for a Friend, Tiny Dancer, Long Way from Happiness. That's getting more support towards the top, isn't it? Believe, again, another popular one. And Your Song at number 1. Well, I don't think anybody would argue with that one. Now, Coma wrote in to say that they would rank Empty Sky higher for sure. Empty Sky had it at 19, and I've only sort of been reintroduced to this track quite recently when I reviewed the Empty Sky album. And the more I listen to it, the more I enjoy this track. Now I know what it's about as well. It's about this sort of prisoner just looking at this tiny piece of sky that they can see from their cell. I think it's pretty powerful, and for an early album track, the first one in Elton's first album, it's pretty good quality, that one, and a signpost of things to come. Now, Beth has sent in her top 30 as well. Leather Jackets right at the bottom with Johnny Be Good, and Restless and Dear John. I quite like Dear John, actually. Simple as a song, but again, it's one of my favourite albums, that. Let's look at what's at the top here. Honky Cat, Kept It Fantastic, Your Song, Tiny Dancer, Funeral for a Friend. So I agree, with most of those there. Got kind of the middle ones here. A lot of people putting these in the middle. Cold as Christmas, Chasing the Crown, This Town, Emperor's New Clothes tend to come sort of in the middle there. And a lot of people seem to like Simple Life, that one, but not Durban Deep. Not many people giving that a lot of marks, that one, Durban Deep. It's a shame that was the opener on that album. Okay, Mario agrees with my choices, especially my top 10. Also, Mario says they're a huge fan of Border Song. Well, of course, that wasn't the opener, was it? But yeah, that's a great song, of course. We love that one. Now, Chad writes in saying it's a great list, but Chad's mentioned Nice and Slow from the Tom Bell Sessions. I didn't include that as a solo album, although I will get to that and do a full review of the Tom Bell Sessions. Chad likes Breaking Down Barriers, lots of people like that, and Chasing the Crown from 21 at 33. Jazzy feel to that, isn't there? Not a lot of people liking that one, but interesting choice. And Chad says, if I'm being mellow, Weight of the World is very pleasant. Yeah, that's a decent one, decent later track, that one. James has added his comment saying, I don't see how there could be any debate about number 1, presumably talking about Funeral for a Friend and Love Lies Bleeding. Certainly my choice. Great video. Well, thank you for your comments. It's difficult to choose right at the top there. I spent quite a long time thinking which one was slightly better than another one. Very difficult to decide, in such a strong top 10. Okay, well, that's a few of your comments. You keep them coming in if you want to write anything else below. As I say, I'm going to do a video very shortly looking at Elton's closing tracks. So if you've got any thoughts on those, put them below as well. This is an even harder choice, I think, in a way. Quite often we've got a really super track saved for the last one. So I'm going to have a look at that one. I'll be back with another video soon. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to. Don't forget, we're still standing.